Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Reduce, Reboot, Recycle. My name is Veasbot, your guide to lateral thinking with withered technology. Today, we're going to be talking about another common upgrade that users find themselves in, the need to upgrade your video card. As usual, we'll cover a few topics beyond simply replacing the card, including how to choose one that won't bottleneck your system. So the scenario this time around is that you have, say, an older standalone card, or even worse, you're relying on the graphics processor that's integrated into your CPU. You just bought the latest copy of your favorite game series and you go to check the minimum specifications. It says that you need, at a minimum, 8 gigabytes of video RAM. If you'll recall from our video on RAM, that's the space that the processor needs to do its work. In this case, what the graphics processor has available. Well, that's fine, you think. My video card has 4 gigabytes, how much could it matter? And sure enough, the game boots. It's a little slow to load, but you get there eventually. And besides, it's not like you're gaming at 4K resolutions. And then you get into the game, and you could parallel park a truck in the time between frames. Obviously, we're exaggerating, but if your game looks like a slideshow, that can definitely be how it feels. Most gamers prefer to have frame rates of 60 or more, as the refresh rate of a standard monitor is 60 Hz or 60 times per second. Of course, competitive multiplayer games require more than this, sometimes 120, 180, or even 240 Hz. This benchmark of 2013's Tomb Raider has us at an average of less than 18 frames per second on our 2008 Dell XPS 630i with a Radeon HD 5770. That hurts. But you're not made of money, so that brand new Team Green card with a comma in it is pure unobtainium in today's market. Even the mid-range seems to be relying on generative material in order to achieve its frame rates. So what is there to do? Luckily, the answer lies in a couple of places. Obviously, the first option available to you is to lower your graphics settings. Reduce texture quality to low, turn off multi-sampling, turn off extra effects like detailed grass, shadows, reflections. And yeah, that does get you better frame rates, but at the cost of visuals. If you're playing a competitive multiplayer game, sometimes that's preferred. But if you're trying to play something that the developer intended to be detailed and immersive, it can ruin the experience. And it can also impact your experience playing with friends in cooperative games due to longer load times between missions, while your PC catches up to everyone else. Okay, so you decide that you're going to upgrade your GPU. How do we go shopping? One thing that we'll need to determine is how much graphical horsepower our CPU can manage. For our example, let's see how far we can extend the Intel Q6600 in the XPS to avoid a bottleneck. A bottleneck is when one component, such as the CPU, slows down another because it simply can't keep up. Using the website willitbottleneck.com, we enter the Q6600 as our CPU. At the time, this was a very capable CPU with 4 cores that could be overclocked to 3 GHz. So, when shopping, we should be looking for similar mid to high range components from 5 to 7 years within the release of 2008. You also want to make sure that your power supply can handle the new hardware, so be sure to check specifications on manufacturer websites to make sure you aren't exceeding its ability to produce the power that's needed. The 750 watt power supply in the old XPS, degraded to around 80% efficiency after 15 plus years, realistically gives us about 600 watts to work with. Subtracting the CPU's thermal design power of 105 watts, allocating some for the motherboard and drives, we estimate roughly 400 watts will be available for the GPU. After doing some poking around on eBay, we find this rather lovely Sapphire Nitro Plus 380 from 2015. While this is technically a refresh of the 290X from the previous generation, the Nitro Plus line are generally very good cards as long as they're taken care of. This one was tested using Furmark for stability before it was listed. At $48, it's a bargain. With a 190 watt power draw, it fits nicely in our budget there as well. After making sure that we have the appropriate 6-pin power supplies from our PSU, let's see if it'll bottleneck. We enter the 380 Nitro Plus GPU in the search field and select the appropriate model. We also enter our desired resolution of 1080p, known as Full HD. We can also enter advanced options that we have installed, such as our prior video upgrading the RAM and the SSD that we installed in place of the failed hard drive. When we click the button to calculate, we find that we have a minor bottleneck of under 25%. Other sites may claim this is a high amount. Willet Bottleneck provides us with a more realistic rating of minor. Generally speaking, anything under 30% is manageable and won't severely impact your gaming experience. This falls in line with the results that we'll see later on when we actually do the upgrade. So, knowing that we have the power needed and a reasonably low bottleneck, we purchase the card and wait for it to arrive. Once it arrives, we'll go ahead and prepare our PC for the new card. Linux users can mostly skip this next step, as your operating system drivers have it covered. We'll download the latest drivers from AMD, the chip makers for this particular card. If we're on Windows, we use a program called Display Driver Uninstaller, affectionately known as DDU. We've linked a video below to tech YouTuber Jay's 2 cents that explains how to use this software. We will be using the method that cleans and does not restart to clear any loose Intel or NVIDIA drivers. Then when selecting AMD, we clean and shut down. Now it's time to physically install the card. As usual, we unplug the PC and set it on a non-conductive surface. Remove the side panel, then set it gently on its side. Remove any screws holding the card in place to the PCI bracket and disengage any plastic clips or retainers. Next, remove the power cable at the back of the card. Then, release the graphics card by disengaging the locking tab at the back of the PCI slot. These take many forms, such as the locking tab used for RAM. Our Dell XPS uses a push tab, so we'll reach under the graphics card and move that out of the way and gently pull up on the card. A little wiggling brings it free. Now we can remove our new card from the anti-static bag that it was shipped in. It's quite a beauty, with a metal backplate that helps it stay cool, according to the marketing anyway. We align the card in the slot, making sure it slides cleanly into place. Then we apply a light, even pressure on both sides, and it slots in nicely. Next we engage the locking clips and 2-decade-old plastic clips strike back. That's fine, the screws will hold it in place better anyway. Connect the two 6-pin power connectors, then install the screws in the PCI bracket to secure the card in place. And now we boot. On first boot, Windows will use the default video driver, so your resolution may look a little funny. We'll install the drivers that we downloaded earlier, which should solve that. Once the drivers are installed, one final reboot will have the system ready to game again. Let's launch Tomb Raider again and check our uplift. Wow, 74 FPS? That's over 300% gained for under $50. Also, now that we have more VRAM, we can launch games such as Mirror's Edge, Helldivers, Rocket League, and more. This little computer from 2008 is now a perfect entry-level gaming PC, as long as you don't mind not running the latest titles. Our total cost invested was a little less than $80. Given the tower was donated, the 8GB of DDR2 in the last video was only $20, the card was $50 on eBay, plus the cost of a little thermal paste. It's also worth noting that all included, these upgrades and maintenance items could be done in an hour, or less once you've had some practice. Unfortunately, this wasn't the end for our particular case. After running some tests to get the GPU warmed up, we found some artifacting on the desktop that didn't go away until we rebooted. So next time, we'll show you how to refurbish a graphics card to get it running like new. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing for future content. Stay tuned for the outtakes, keep those fans spinning, and we'll see you next time for more lateral thinking with Withered Technology. Have a great day! Never mind that the last time didn't record the audio. We're going to try this again. Right. Okay. Eyes open and on the prize. Hello. You just bought a And then you get into the game, and you could parallel park a truck in between This benchmark of 2013's Tomb Raider has an average... After making sure that we have the two appropriate 6-pin power cables from our... We've linked a video below to tech YouTuber J2. Let's launch Tomb Raider again and see our... Oh wow, it took me 3 less minutes that time because I had some practice.